We're just 6 races into the NASCAR Cup Series season, and there are 6 drivers who are massively underperforming. Find out if their shot at the title is dead and whether or not they still have weekly betting value. All this and more next, right here on the Back Road.
I don't drive a Monte Carlo, and my truck ain't painted black. It ain't got a big white number 3 turning left around the track.
Welcome down the Back Road. Yes, it's In Between Media's NASCAR betting show, back with you, and we're officially 6 races into the NASCAR Cup Series season. So it's time to reassess some of the biggest busts so far this season and break down whether or not they are championship bound so far. Plus, we absolutely are going to be looking into where can we play these guys on a week-to-week basis from a betting standpoint. We got all that for you and more. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, joined by an American hero and an absolute veteran of the podcasting scene. He's Hot Rod Villagomez. Rod, great to be back with you. How are you as we prepare to really turn on the hot stove here on these early season disappointments?
Yeah, I'm really good, Seth, and this has been a crazy season so far for NASCAR. Lots of changes as far as just what we're watching and lots of great racing going into the season. We've had probably some of the better races that we've had in a couple of seasons over the last few weeks, and it's just ramping up. And, of course, these guys that we're about to talk about, it's ramping up even hotter for them as Tyler Reddick continues to turn on the heat to the rest of the field.
Absolutely. It's always fun to begin the season because we have so many ambitions and predictions that we're excited to see play out. And, you know, while there's been teams that have been off to a really hot start that we'll talk about, like Spire Motorsports, like the RFKs of the world, there's also been, you know, their fair share of disappointments, whether you're the 22 team in Joey Logano, or whether you're maybe just having some bad finishes like a Chase Briscoe, or just an entire organization lacking speed like Trackhouse Racing. So excited to dive into all that with you today, Rod. As we mentioned, we will look at a standings update. Then we'll break down those early 6 season disappointments and their future outlook. And please don't forget to subscribe both to the IBT Media YouTube channel and also the brand new Backroad sub channel. Yes, where it's racing all the time, baby. We got bonus episodes of the Backroad there. We also have our main episodes there, plus some exclusive weekly shorts that Elliot's been ripping out so far this season. So it's been a great time over there. That's at youtube.com/@thebackroad. So go ahead and check that out there. We'd really, really appreciate that. And let's go ahead, folks, and jump into a little draft or pass and break down the early season risers and the fallers here.
Now quarter. Sold your way 65.
That's pretty cool.
21. Andy Rock 21. Rockstar.
All right, it's draft or pass. We're going to start with a NASCAR Cup Series standings update. And at the top of the board, no surprise, Rod, it's Tyler Reddick, who's won 4 of the first 6 races. Just absolute speed every single week. The only time he didn't top 10 was a couple weeks ago at Las Vegas, where he was a top 10 caller pretty much all day. Ends up towards the back of the pack there, outside the top 10 a little bit. And then Ryan Blaney, who's had a couple real strong performances, coming in second. Still quite a bit ways down from Reddick in the points. Obviously 95 with that extra 15 points bonus for a win you're getting, really causing some separation there. Bubba Wallace with a great start here in third as well. Denny Hamlin in fourth. Chase Elliott, consistency paying off for him yet again in fifth. William Byron in sixth. Chris Buescher in seventh. Christopher Bell in eighth. Brad Keselowski with a really nice run last week in ninth. 10th, Kyle Larson, a bit back and forth, hit the wall by himself last week. Definitely cost him some standings, positions, and points. Ty Gibbs with a really great run so far this season as well in 11th. We also have Ryan Preece in 12th, and then Carson Hocevar 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 15th, go SVG, and then Joey Logano rounds out here in 16th. So, Rod, when you're looking at the top of the standings, the chase as it is set right now, who are some of the bigger surprises or maybe even disappointments at the top of this board for you?
Well, not to say that Tyler Reddick is a surprise, because obviously we've all
Yeah.
seen this coming for a couple of seasons now. But you weren't old enough, Seth, to live through the Chicago Bulls dominance when Michael Jordan was actually at the helm of this. But this kind of reminds me of the Chicago Bulls just laying waste to the rest of the field, and fitting that that Michael Jordan is the owner of 2311 and Tyler Reddick is laying waste. And let's not forget Bubba Wallace. You know, he's definitely sitting there in third with speed every single week. Unfortunately, last week it didn't come to fruition because of the accidents. But I mean, this 2311 team, what did it take the lawsuit to get them charged up a little bit more? I don't know. But I'm 100% not surprised that they're up there. It's just fun to watch this as Tyler Reddick is really taken to the rest of the field and really taking a whooping to it. I will say one thing. You know me, I have been a staunch, not supporter of Ty Gibbs over the last few seasons.
Yes.
I have softened my opinion on Ty Gibbs. He has shown, because remember, I'm not afraid to be wrong, and I'm not afraid to change my opinion if new information presents itself. And look he's actually been running well, and he's been humble about it. I have not seen nor heard from him as far as, normally his ego and his attitude get in the way. But Ty Gibbs has been doing this quietly, and I will respect that out of him. And I think a nice 11th place for him sitting in the standings is where he needs to be. A lot of top fives now in a row, 3 top fives, right, that he had. Yep. So, look, I'm not going to say I'm a huge fan and I won't wear 54 gear, but I think Ty Gibbs is showing us why it takes a couple of seasons to ease in to the Cup Series.
Yeah, absolutely. He was someone I was a little bit higher on coming into this season as opposed to previous years where I was lower on him. I had him inside my Chase picture predictions, and also someone that I had that over season 0.5 of win total, which I still feel good. He's showing some more maturity, not only off the track, but also on the track, where he's saving his tires a little bit better, right? Still fades sometimes like last week towards the end of runs, but still came out with his 4th straight top 10 finish. So you love to see that. And, just speaking to your point, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, 2311, even Riley Herbst has had some speed this season. So it's been really, really great to see out of there. And the other big thing for me when looking at this particular group of drivers, Rod, is you got to give it up for Spire Motorsports, man. They are right now, in my viewpoint, the second best Chevy team in the garage. It seems like they have found something there. I was high on McNasty in particular this season. I thought he would be someone who would be back inside the top 12 in average finish. That was a little bit lofty so far this season. He's not in this picture right now. He's 17th, though, right there with Joey Logano, though. And you have Carson Hocevar, you have Daniel Suarez, who Suarez has been on a bit of a heater as well. Good, strong runs, good off the truck. So you love to see that. And Carson Hocevar made his way up, I think, from almost 17, 18, something like that, up to a top 5 finish last week. He had the most speed at the end of that race out there at Darlington. So you love to see that. Let's go ahead a little bit further down the standings here, Rod, now. And wow, what a shocker some of this has been. Now looking here at the next 16 in the standings, Michael McDowell checks in at 17th, as I mentioned. AJ Allmendinger at 18th, Zane Smith 19th, Ross Chastain 20th, Austin Cindric 21st, Chase Briscoe 22nd, 23rd, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones 24th, 25th, John Henry Nemechek, 26th, going to be Austin Dillon. Riley Herbst, again, showing a little more speed there at 27th, and would have even had a better day if he wasn't wrecked out of last week's race as well. But love to see that from Riley Herbst. And then Ty Dillon here, 28th, 29th, Noah Gragson, 30th, Todd Gillen, 31st, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 32nd, Josh Berry, 33rd, Connor Zilisch, and then rounding out, not on the graphic, but Cole Custer, Cody Ware, and then Alex Bowman, who has been out for a couple races dealing with that vertigo recovery. Rod, we're going to talk about the disappointments that end up on this list. Is there anyone surprising you, though, who, hey, maybe they're a little bit further up in the standings? Because for me, it's, hey, don't look now, man. Zane Smith continuing to take a step forward, as really that entire organization's been a bit shaky to begin the season with Gragson and, of course, Todd Gillen in tow there. But Zane, for the 2nd straight season, separating him from those drivers in his garage. And your boy, AJ Allmendinger, also with a nice start as well here in 18th.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. My spirit driver, AJ Allmendinger, sitting there in 18th. I mean, it's he's ahead of guys that he probably shouldn't be ahead of, like Ross Chastain, like Kyle Busch, maybe even the Riley Herbst of the world. But I did expect him to see on the second page of the fold, right underneath the fold. But to be 18th, and I don't want to say striking distance, but look, a couple of more finishes that are good, and maybe he jumps past Michael McDowell. Maybe he gets past some of the bottom end of the 16s. It's a long season, and there's going to be a lot for AJ Allmendinger to have to overcome. Which by the way, Tyler Reddick trying to steal his thunder by having his cool suit not work, and exactly, classic AJ. But yeah, I do like seeing AJ Allmendinger in the fight. I don't know how long he can stay in there.
Yeah, it's a good point. Next 4 races here on the schedule, Rod. It's Martinsville, it's Bristol, it's Kansas, and Dega. This maybe isn't a hot take or a bold prediction, but I think we're going to get a first-time winner sometime in the next 4 races, and I don't even know if we have to get to Dega to get there. I think we're going to see some real speed out of some guys at Martinsville and Bristol in particular that, maybe it's a Ty Gibbs win. Maybe it's a Ryan Preece win, something of those vein. We'll talk about one of these drivers who has been a disappointment so far this season. I think maybe they could grab their first Cup Series win as well. And Rod, before we get to those busts, just a real quick reminder for the great people of the internet out there that you can help support us here at the IBT Racing family. Now absolutely free to join. You can gain access to the chat with our analysts and our memorabilia giveaways at no cost. And then if you want to upgrade for $3.99 per month or $36 for the year, you're going to get our full betting cards, the betting model that Chris Colicchio puts together for us every single week, and the head-to-head matchups contest where Rod and I struggling at the bottom of the board. Got to pick ourselves up, though. This also going to include access then to the IBT football family, the IBT entertainment family, and, of course, the IBT golf family. We have a ton of contests. We have a ton of betting models, picks, all that good stuff right there for every single one of those. So make sure you're checking out there in-betweenmedia.com/chat. Link is in the episode description as well. And let's go ahead, Rod, and let's fire it up here with the drivers who we think, they're going to be okay. Or maybe not. Maybe the season shot for them. Let's start it up here with the early bus. And of course, it's got to be the guy, someone I had inside my top 12 power rankings coming in this season. I was definitely the high man in the consensus, though. Connor Zilisch, 33rd, minus 256 points out from Tyler Reddick there, who was in first. Average starting position in this season of 27.3. So Trackhouse just not having a lot of speed off the truck or getting the finishes, right? 26.0 average finish. Best finish, P14 at COTA, with 3 finishes worse than P30. Rod, I'm not going to overreact to this for a few reasons. One, the speed at Trackhouse is a little bit alarming. That is the one thing I think we can take away from this. However, Connor Zilisch was really, really good in the Busch Light Clash, Cookout Clash this season. And I think he continues to show that speed when we get some of these short tracks here in the next couple weeks. And also we got some road courses coming up, starting with Watkins Glen in May this season. So I'm not out on Connor Zilisch. That said, I think his championship window in 33rd is pretty much closed. I think maybe there's a shot he can get hot enough and get into the back end of the chase, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get into that position where you need to be kind of top 10, top 8 going into the reset of points where you really have a shot at this. Your thoughts on Connor Zilisch? Is the championship window as a rookie closed, and does he have betting value over these next couple weeks for you?
Well, I 100% think the championship window is closed. I don't know that it was ever really open. And I know that Cody on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast loves to point out that rookies do not win championships in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah.
And it's for good reason. I mean, the learning curve is steep when you get to these Cup cars. The talent level is immediately raised. And so Connor Zilisch is getting a huge dose of what Ty Gibbs got in his rookie season, right? I mean, this guy, Ty Gibbs, comes in as one of the hottest Xfinity drivers. I almost said O'Reilly again, but Xfinity drivers into the scene, right? And learns very quickly that you can't come up and just dominate every single race like you're used to with the big boys, right? So Connor Zilisch is getting a huge dose of that right now. And then, like you said, Seth, the Trackhouse speed has not been there. So he's already behind the 8 ball speed-wise. The fact that he's a rookie, I mean, it's going to be tough for him to really climb out of this. And there's a lot of learning for him to get in there. And we saw it even on the road course, right? Where we thought he was going to come out and absolutely crush. It's just not, it's a big learning curve for Connor Zilisch, and he's going to have to take this season to learn. I don't see a championship in his future, this season. Maybe next season he gets a little better, but I mean, again, we watched the learning curve with Noah Gragson, with Ty Gibbs, with these guys that come in and they're hot stuff in the lower series, but it takes a little bit longer to get acquainted in the Cup Series.
Would you want the over or the under of that half a win total right now? Let's say it's even money.
I'm still taking the under. I just can't see him winning a race. It's too difficult with everybody else that's doing it right now.
I think I might have a long shot top 10 coming up on for him either here at Martinsville this week or Bristol, just based on how he performed early in the clash this season. Let's go to another driver, though, who has really come out of the gates pretty slow this season. That's Josh Berry, 32nd in the points, minus 249 points to Reddick here. And what a disappointment for a guy who last season was already locked into the playoffs by the time we had gotten here to Martinsville. 19.0 average start, 25.5 average finish for the kid as well. Best finish a ninth in the Daytona 500 this season. Finished P32 at Phoenix and P31 at Las Vegas. Rod, I think more than almost anyone we're going to talk about, the Josh window, Barry, of having even a chance, I think, to get in the chase is closed at this point, because he's pretty much he's been better at road courses over the last 3 or 4 road courses we've been to, but essentially a zero. He's a guy who's going to get 10 points maybe at those road courses, not really, unless strategy comes into play, going to get any stage points there. And based on the speed he's shown a little bit, it hasn't been Joey Logano slow at Las Vegas and Phoenix and some of these, more traditional tracks, but it has been slow at times. So Josh Berry, for me, I think the championship window is closed. Maybe we get invested in him in the near future at short tracks. But I will say, Rod, like, this doesn't set up well for him, just how the schedule is, because now we only have one Richmond date, right? And another place he's fast at, like Dover, off the regular season points paying calendar. So I'm concerned if I'm a Josh Berry fan or a Josh Berry backer in the futures market.
Yeah, if you had a championship ticket on Josh Berry, go ahead and use that as a coaster, because I don't see because listen, I there's 20 cars on a week-to-week basis that I can name and not even sweat that are faster than him every single week, right? And it's not that he's not a talented driver. We know he is, but unfortunately that 21 car has just not had any speed. And the one win, like you said, that he got lucky enough to get last season, and then maybe had a couple of good finishes after that, he fell off. So this is not just a slow start. This was a slow end to last season and another slow start to this season. So, there's got to be some way for Josh Berry to pick it back up again, but I'm not sure that we're going to be ringing the championship alarm bells anytime soon. And I don't know that he's even going to make the chase. So yeah, unfortunately for Josh Berry, this might be a season of regrouping and maybe getting ready for the next.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you next year, buddy. But best of luck. Just got to get off to a hotter start, specifically when you're kind of riding solo in a one car team, even though you're loosely connected to some other big players as well. Next up here, we of course have Chase Briscoe. Wow, what a disappointment here for Chase Briscoe. 16.7 average starting position, 22.0 average finish right now. Started outside of the row of the 500, led 23 laps before finishing 36 in that race, P2 at Atlanta. So he's had speed. And then you go to Coda, right? Led 8 laps in that race down in Austin, third starting position for him, but then has issues there. P8 at Las Vegas, P12 after a late race issue at Darlington where he had top 5 speed. I'm not going to write Chase Briscoe off right now, Rod, strictly because of the fact that, hey, some of this is just bad luck, right? Like, he's had speed at good tracks where he's looked like a top 5, a race-winning speed car. He's just kind of getting unlucky a little bit from a mechanical and just a wreck standpoint. So I'm still very much in on Chase Briscoe. However, I think I have a couple of 11-1 tickets in my back pocket. I don't feel great about those anymore. He's really going to have to make another late charge over the summer to get himself back in that conversation for a championship.
And it's strange because last season, obviously, he starts off slow because he's trying to get used to driving a fast car. I'm not sure what his excuse is this year. And yeah, bad luck has been a little bit of it too, but he's also put himself in situations where the bad luck has sort of manifested. So Chase Briscoe, very interesting in most aspects because a lot of people were high on him. I know Cody was, you were.
Yeah.
I was to a certain extent. I still wasn't completely drinking the Chase Briscoe Kool-Aid, but I definitely thought he'd be doing better than this early on in the season. And how frustrating is it though to watch Ty Gibbs do better than you this season as a Chase Briscoe person? Because you were like, well, I'm coming into this season and I'm gonna be one of the better JGR cars in the garage, and all of a sudden you're watching the kid kind of run circles around you and finish 5th while you're not. That's kind of frustrating. And for JGR in general, the last couple of weeks have been sort of frustrating, right? Denny Hamlin taking out not only him, but his car in the 23, like these guys, I'm sure they're probably frustrated with not being dominant like they should be. So for Chase Briscoe, that's double. And yeah, you're right. I'm not necessarily giving up on him quite yet, because I think he does have a lot more in him that we haven't seen yet. However, I'm a little concerned. Even though it's 6 races in, I'm still a little concerned with what I'm seeing out of the gates.
Rod, someone I'm not as optimistic about for the rest of the season is Kyle Busch, coming in here at 23rd, 219 points back of first place, average start of 17.7. So getting off the truck like adequately, I'd say, but the average finish not there, 21.2. No top 10s this season for Rowdy as well. And really outside of the Daytona 500 and the duels, and even showing a little bit of speed there in that clash out at Bowman Gray, it has not been a good season for RCR as a whole in the Cup Series. I think they don't have the speed they're looking for. Maybe he gets a shot at one of these short tracks here. Again, I feel a lot better, though, if like Dover was on the schedule or we were going to Richmond another time. But I really think the only chance for Kyle Busch to even get a win will come out of short track this season. I don't think he has the speed really anywhere else unless he backs into it at a super speedway. Even at COTA this season, a little bit disappointing compared to what we saw a year ago. So like, I just think I'm pretty out on Rowdy. I think championship hopes have closed here. I think betting value will only really be at short tracks. If you want to take a shot on a super speedway where the odds are usually juiced beyond repair for him, that for me to even take.
You know, athletes at a certain point, when you start to not achieve the same level of success that you were used to when you were younger, starts making you think, you know, how long, when. And I know he's still young. Like that's the thing about it. Like Kyle Busch is still relatively young in this sport as well. It's not like you have to be 21 to drive a car and drive it well. You can still be well into your 30s and even into your 40s, as Denny Hamlin can attest, to still drive the car well. But right, when you start to see your performance slip like that, what does that do to your psyche? One, because you know Kyle Busch is a fiery guy anyways, and you drive with emotion like that. If you're sucking week after week after week, then you're already pissed off once you get in the car, and your road rage gets a little bit quicker to manifest. So for me, yeah, this is tough because Kyle Busch came to RCR with every intention of bringing another championship there, more wins there, and overall improve his situation, and it hasn't happened. And a guy like him is not going to stay quiet about it for very much longer. So what do you do if you're Kyle Busch, you know? And yeah, I'm not trusting him. I'm definitely not putting any. I know that there's a lot of folks that are still Rowdy Nation that want all the wins and all of the top 10s, but man, it's just tough on a week-to-week basis to trust him.
They're going to have to hit at a track, right? They're just going to have to hit, like, maybe he can be more competitive at Richmond when we get there later this season, like Austin Dillon usually is, but it has just not been the case. Maybe he shows up somewhere randomly and has like race winning speed like he showed last year at COTA, but so far this season, not great for Kyle Busch. I think he's, both someone neither you or I are interested in betting week to week at most places, unless he pops really high in one of our projection models and it comes in at fair value odds, which he has not been so far for a guy who's 0 for 6 at top 10s. Ross Chastain, similar type of story for him. 20th, minus 210 here in the standings. 18.0 average start, 19.8 average finish. P3 at Atlanta, start on the outside row at COTA, so showed a little bit of speed, but like Rod, you could see it, when we were at COTA there, just the horsepower difference, what it felt like from someone like Tyler Reddick to SVG. And then we go to these ovals where like Ross does not have speed. It doesn't feel like Connor has speed. I don't know if SVG is just wheeling it right now, because SVG's actually been a better finisher than them at some of these traditional ovals, which we would not expect. Ross in particular at these last 3 ovals of Darlington, Phoenix, and Las Vegas, 20.3 average finish. Like Daniel Suarez is outrunning him right now. He's got that beef over his shoulder now as well. So I'm not going to say like there's not a chance that Ross couldn't get into the chase here. Just in 20th, he's not in that bad of position. However, I think the championship hopes and aspirations are definitely out the window at this point. He's someone else who's going to, like, if we're being honest, Rod, it was kind of a disappointing season a year ago, aside from the big win at Memorial Day, right? The Coke 600. But aside from that, it was kind of disappointing for Ross. I think he, again, like Kyle Busch, can maybe hit at a certain track. But other than that, like it's a no for me, dog, on Ross Chastain, a guy that, I love Busch Light. I love me some Melon Man as well. But I just think that this is going to be a bit of a rebuilding year for Trackhouse. And you called it out a few years ago. This was a team that was trying to get into a lot of different forms of motorsports and really upgrade this team quickly and what is on their events calendar. And maybe it's starting to catch up with them internally.
Yeah, and unfortunately, whatever's happening and whatever the cars lack in speed right now, it really is hampering Ross Chastain, because we all know that he is a potential race winner. We all know that he drives aggressively enough to put himself in position to be one of the top cars every single week, but this is not happening. And for Ross Chastain, like, this is the difference, though, between a Ross Chastain, I think, and a Josh Berry. And Ross Chastain has enough time, right? Josh Berry, we already called him off. We already said that the pretty much done with any hopes whatsoever of getting in the chase even. Whereas Ross Chastain, there's still plenty of rate or season left for him to sort of pick up the pieces and at least make the chase. Now, obviously, championship's going to be tough for anybody other than Tyler Reddick at this point. But for Ross Chastain, I think getting in the chase is going to be a Herculean feat, but I think it's not one that's out of his realm of possibilities. It's just going to take a lot of work, and he's going to have to put his head down, be consistent, and honestly find speed in that Trackhouse car, because like you said, Seth, it's just like, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden they just fell off. Connor Zilisch isn't fast. SVG outside of road courses is okay. And Ross just continues to sort of be there and then disappear. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that Ross has got a lot of time to figure it out, and hopefully he does.
Yeah, maybe it's like one of these races he just needs like a late run strategy call to kind of get him out in front with a little bit of clean air, because he hasn't had that much this season. That's kind of, been the trick for Ross at places like Las Vegas, where he's kind of really made his hay over the seasons. Like, hey, how can I get creative on strategy? And it feels like they're not really doing that. And so for me, yeah, it's just going to be an uphill battle, but I just don't see any betting. Like, you're not getting the right numbers for top tens yet until we get into that 2-1 range. I'm not really interested. And like, the only head-to-heads I think you can really take on him are against Zilisch right now, right? Like, that's the only thing you're kind of seeing out there at the books that make me confident in betting Ross really in any sort of fashion right now. So someone off our betting cards. And then, hey, Rod, I know you're the veteran of this show, but you still got more hair than our boy Joey Logano now, going with the bald look. 16th here in points, 186 points back, 12.7 average start. So really nice off the truck so far this season for Joey Logano, but the average finish not there at 19.2. He does have a singular top 10, finished third in the 500, but he did win the pole at Phoenix. He did lead 73 laps before wrecking out of that race. Really incredibly rough Darlington, though, right? I mean, he was running on speed behind Cody Ware at times of that race, finished 33rd. I don't want to like panic, and sound the alarms, because the rest of the traditional Penske boys, the Cindrics, the Blaney's, had really nice speed last week. But something seems off in that Joey Logano camp right now, where you can't be that far off, where you're that slow. You have no grip, it seemed like, whatsoever in that car as well. So I want to say, like, especially with the change in format, Joey Logano, his championship hopes are dashed at this point. I will say, though, there will be points where I'm getting back invested from a betting standpoint, though, specifically probably this week when we go to the Ville.
Oh, for sure, at Martinsville. That's 100% in on Joey Logano. And by the way, all of Joey Logano's hair on his head went to Ryan Blaney's mustache. That's the power went to Ryan Blaney's mustache. Now, listen, for Joey Logano, the even year thing has pretty much played its course now. We can't use even year Joey Logano because it's a different format, and I think that now this is suffering a little bit for Joey Logano. Championship-wise, yeah, you're probably right. It might be out of his reach to get there, because, like I said, everybody chasing Tyler Reddick at this point is going to have to really sprint over the next few months to catch him. So even when they reset the points, it's going to be difficult with Tyler Reddick having such a huge lead right now. But Joey Logano is somebody that I feel like you can't count out completely. Like, you can count him out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he made a late charge and made us all look silly by the end of the year.
Okay, Rod, that's going to do it for the bus. Last question I have for you. If you had to rank these guys the rest of the season, these 6 busts we talked about, how would you do that? Let's just take out their current points out of the situation. We are restarting right now. I would definitely have Briscoe in first of this group, and then I would have Logano because he has at least showed some speed to lead races, to get poles. And then I'd actually have Connor Zilisch third. I'd have Ross fourth. I'd have Kyle Busch fifth, and then I'd have I'd have Josh Berry fifth and Kyle Busch sixth. Any changes for you in your list rest of the season?
Yeah, I definitely would not have Zilisch third. I would probably end up putting Chastain in third.
Okay.
And then pretty much the rest of it's the right there. I mean, Connor Zilisch would probably be the last on my list. I would probably I'd probably have Busch, Berry, and then Zilisch as the last 3.
Look, the old veteran, always stomping on the rookies, saying this ain't my Rubbins racing out here. So Rod, I appreciate everything you do for us, not only here at IBT, but just for the industry as a whole. Can you tell us what else you have going on that we should be paying attention to over the next couple weeks, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, you can always catch me on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast 4 days a week with my boy Cody Zeeb as we break down all the races. Coming up, actually, we've got some F1 and some IndyCar to go along with our O'Reilly Series picks and our DFS picks. And then, of course, so you like sports, I've got some F1 articles coming out every single week now, thanks to all the sponsors that have jumped on board with that. So absolutely love banging out those F1 articles. They're underdog, they're betting, all kinds of great stuff.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys are checking out everything Rod has at his Twitter handle at RJ Villagomez. You can find me at _SethFF. But the easiest way to support us here, make sure you guys are giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this micro episode. Also, subscribe both to the main IBT YouTube channel and that Backroad sub channel as well. Be sure to check out all the dope written content at in-betweenmedia.com. Trash and Ben doing a great job putting out a ton of articles, blogs, betting models right there to the site. And then join that community for free right now in-betweenmedia.com/chat. It's free. It's fun to join as well. So make sure you guys are getting invested with that. For my friend Rod Villagomez, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thank you so much for watching, and keep it in between until next time when we roll down the back road.